Zdravo and or Bok, and welcome to another life video. This time we're doing split life, you see, because I'm on my summer holidays right now. Now I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, Fenner, that doesn't look like Congo in the background, and you'd be correct. It's not Congo. You see, sometimes life is all about the give and the take, yeah? The yin and the yang, the dick and the dom, the zig and the zag, the bill and the ben, the flower pot men, the golden and the gopher. So that being said, we're spending a whole week here, just outside the town of Split, hence the Split life, in the beautiful Republic of Croatia. And in return for that, I'm going to make sure that we spend a minimum of 3 months next year, back where I belong, in the county of Cornwall. You see, you know, because 1 week here is probably equivalent to 3 months there, if you ask me. Wouldn't you agree? Because, you know, I am nothing if not a reasonable man. So I'm going to be giving you a comprehensive travel guide to everything Croatian related, so you too don't have to go through this torture. So you too can enjoy this beautiful country and everything it has to offer. So let's get cracking, shall we? So let me give you a bit of travel information and let you know how we ended up here, just inches away from a blooming war zone. We took a flight from Luton Airport, of all places, which in itself could be regarded as a bit of a war zone, and in fact we were lucky that our plane managed to take off and dodged all the anti-aircraft rockets and surface-to-air missiles that are popping off all around us. Anyway, the flight was advertised at 2.5 hours, which I must warn you is complete bullshit, alright? Because you see, we took off from just before 8 o'clock from England, and we didn't land in Croatia until 11:30, okay? Now you don't need to be a member of the countdown panel to realise that that is in fact 3.5 hours EasyJet. Yeah, have a word. 2.5 my arse. Once we landed at the airport, we then met Croatian Colin Monik, and we picked up this little beauty. It's a Citroen Clio, and it's our hire car for the week. Now, as we all know, hire cars automatically become the fastest cars on the road because, well, they're not yours, are they? So you haven't got to worry about footing the repair bill should you cause any damage. But my advice is you make sure you keep any potential damage internal, because I guarantee when you return your hire car, they'll go over it with a fine tooth comb. Oh, trust me, they'll be all up in the wheel arches, they'll be sliding down the exhaust pipe, they'll be inspecting the flux capacitor, you know, just to see if they can spot the slightest sign of a scratch or a dent or a squashed bug or a squashed mozzie in a bellover, you know, and then they'll try and charge you the price of a full brand new Fiat Clio to fix it, the slags. You also need to remember that this lot drive on the wrong side of the road for some reason over here. Now, believe you me, I have tried my best to get them to join me in the revolution, but they will not get out your way when you're driving towards them, you know, trying to show them the error of their ways. No. All they do is they just start shouting and screaming at you with even more aggressive hand gestures. I mean, obviously I've got no idea what they're saying, but I mean, if I had to take a guess, I think they're probably saying like, "Oh my God, look at that Englishman, he's so clever," or "Wow, that makes so much more sense driving on that side of the road," or you know, "Oh wow, why didn't I think of that sooner?" You know. But some of them even thrown rocks at me as a sign of their appreciation. But which reminds me, actually, I need to Google what JBC means when I get home. I mean, I'm sure it means like scholar or maverick or legend or something along those lines. They're just trying to apologise and atone for the error of their ways, I guess. Bless them. Excuse me while I open a can of pan. Now, there are a few things you need to be aware of before coming to Croatia about buildings and residences. A few things that might seem a bit out of the ordinary, a bit abnormal to us Brits, but they appear to be the normal McDonald for those of a Croatian persuasion. You see, because most of the places that I looked at on Airbnb seem to have these unusual amenities. For example, they love to stick a washing machine of all things in the bathroom of all places. I mean, that's fine, isn't it? There's no problem there. Water and electricity, they go together very well, as we all know. Shocking. Anyway, that is actually not unique to just Croatia, because I've also experienced this when I stayed at the one and only Jodits pad in Amsterdam with my good friend Nicholas a few years ago now. Well, I say we stayed in Amsterdam. I'm not sure it counts if you let Nick and all the accommodation, and then you end up 70 miles away from the centre of Amsterdam, and you have to get a ferry every day just to get your morning smoking a pancake. Not entirely sure that counts as staying in Amsterdam, but either way, one good thing about that trip is ever since then I've insisted on handling all my own travel arrangements. Young Nicholas, anything for a bargain, that boy. I think I've worked out why they put their washing machine in the bathroom, though. It's because they've decided to put the shower of all things, in the garden of all places. I mean, what is the point in that? I don't understand it. Weirdos. Means just good. Not everyone wants to see you Phil Wang in the morning, you know. Got to get your Justin Trouser snake out in front of your neighbours while they're trying to have their Croatian cornflakes. Weirdos, mate, weirdos. Then you've got this strange room here, which is full of all this weird stuff, load of metal stuff. I have no idea what it is, or what any of this stuff is used for, but we'll see. Football's clearly a bit different over there. But yeah, don't know what's going on in this room, but if I had to take a guess, I think it might be a sex room for doing the sex. That's enough of that info overload. So as a certain Mr. Slim Shady would say, let's get down to business and run through some of the super fun shizzle I've been up to while I've been on my holiday. Pardon me while I crack open a can of a Carlisle Vacchial. Lovely. Now, first thing you might want to do, you want to do a bit of sunbathing, okay? Because Croatia has this thing that you don't get in England, and that is called the sun. So you might want to do a spot of sunbathing, you know. Head down to the sun lounger and make yourself comfortable. Get your sunnies on. Yeah. Oh, righty then. Right, that's enough of that. You don't want to overdo it. I'm going back inside. Ooh, I didn't get this quarter Irish milky complexion by being a UV sponge. I'm heading back indoors, that's enough for me. Once you've got your skin all nice and crispy and olive coloured from all that sunbathing, you're ready to star in and or recreate your very own L'Oreal advert. Because I work it. Ladies, now if you want to pause the video and rewind that segment right there, you know, maybe put it on repeat or slow motion or something like that, you feel free, yeah? No one's going to blame you. You're only human after all. It's hard to resist all this goodness, I understand that. In fact, not only the ladies, fellas, if you want to do that too, if my L'Oreal advert tickled your pickle, then you go for it as well. I mean, actually, no, I mean, even if you lettuce and bacon and tomato people, if you want to do that, you crack on as well, because there's no discrimination on this channel, okay? Each to their own and all that. Excuse me while I crack open a can of Doop. Oh yeah. Now it's essential that you make sure you book your place. It's got its own PS5, okay? And whoever you're on holiday with, they won't mind if you spend hours and hours on that, rather than, you know, doing holiday stuff. What? I haven't even got one of these at home. Ah, fine. Waste my time. Just because you're on your holiday doesn't mean you should neglect your data throwing skills. You need to keep them sharp, otherwise you're never going to become the next Steve Brackley. Once you finish honing your arrow skills and you can hit treble 20s in your sleep, like myself, then you're going to want to practice your diving technique, okay? So even Jack Cousteau Suarez would be jealous of your techers. Now, the secret to a good dive, as young John Daly will tell us, is to create the least amount of splash possible, apparently. So let's start off with the classic dive. Once you've perfected your diving technique, as I've just demonstrated right there, you can let your hair down after that. You know, maybe have fun with it. You can pretend you're a character from Street Fighter, like Ken or Chun-Li. Oh, Chun-Li. Where was I? Street Fighter. Ryu or M. Bison or Zangief or Bullfrog. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And I will. You could pretend you're a bad man like Blanca, or E. Honda, or Ramon Vega. You know, the list is literally finite, yeah? And with that, once you've chosen your character, you could maybe do some of their signature moves. I'm joking, obviously I'm being silly. Let me just demonstrate to you my real diving technique, okay? No bullshit with it this time. Pardon me while I crack open a can of Pardon me while I crack open one of these. Oh, lovely tipple. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break from all that excitement and I'll run you through some of the most famous creations in history, shall I? While I enjoy that refreshing beverage, and it'll also give me some time to get some wind back in my lungs after that belly flop, and also some time for my testicles to redescend. So, famous Croatians, starting with, first things you got is Luka Modric. Now, he's undoubtedly the most famous goat hurler from Croatia, and he also knocks football around in his spare time too. He's probably the most decorated footballer to ever come out of Croatia, unless of course you're asking Harry Redknapp, who will obviously try and tell you that the most famous footballer from Croatia is Niko Kranjčar. And to be fair, he's got a point, because he's a terrific, fantastic lad. Second, you've got Goran Ivan Isavic. Now, he is actually from Split, the town that we're staying at. He won Wimbledon in 2001, beating Pat to the rafters in the final, to become the first ever wild card to win Wimbledon, having started the tournament ranked 125th. Thirdly, you got Tony Kukoc. He was a basketball player. He played for the infamous Chicago Bulls team of the 1990s, and if you're not sure who he is, he's the white dude in the picture. Up next, we've got Nikola Tesla. Now, him and Thomas Edison, they had a bit of beef in the past over black currants, I think, you know, or red currants, or blue, was it blue currants? I don't know, it was some sort of currency. It could have been grapes for all I know. Penultimately, we've got Faust Vrancic. Now, this guy was a famous polymath, which I think is some sort of Pokemon. Now, I'll tell you what, this guy, unlike me, this guy has some balls, because he was the first person to test a parachute. You don't want to get that wrong, believe me. Rounding off our list of famous creations is Ivan Vuktic. Now, this bloke, he will not be very popular with the criminals, but he will be popular with the rozzers, because he invented fingerprinting. Remember, snitches get stitches and no bitches. Remember that, kids. So that's the education segment out of the way. Let's just see if my testicles have redescended. 1, 2, 3. Yep, all present and correct. Let's get back to the interesting stuff, shall we? Many parts of Croatia were actually the filming locations for the TV series The Game of the Thrones. So you might want to mooch about and visit some of those locations, and or even visit the Game of the Thrones Museum. Oh, wow! For me personally, I found the Game of Thrones a very tricky series to watch. It wasn't because of the many layered characters and their intricately interwoven storylines. No, the thing that I found trickiest was trying to work out at what point you can start to fancy Arya Stark, right? Because you've got to be careful these days, people. You can get banged up with a quickness for that shit, and that would have definitely...
That's right, holiday.
FYI, it's season 3 if you want to be a bit risky, and season 4 if you're playing it safe, okay? You may thank me later. Another thing Croatia is famous for is its beautiful national parks. Now, there's no jokes here or silly innuendos here, just have a peep at this scenery. Oh, isn't that beautiful? 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 Oh, isn't this beautiful? At some point, you're going to want to get yourself into the town of Split and flex your holiday garments that you copped from boohooman.com right before you left. Check these Bombay bad boys out.
I look real good today. 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 Jumping at the motherfucking Bentley. Rolling in that new Valencia. Walking with a pocket full of Benjis.
You might want to take the old quad bike out for a spin and see the countryside. Another thing I like about the Croatians is they unequivocally love a barbecue. They've all got one in their homes according to the pictures on Airbnb, and they go all out. This isn't one of those poxy travel barbecues that you can just about squeeze 4 of your cheapest bangers on. Nah, they're doing things properly over here. Check this out. I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to be cooking up a lovely Mediterranean platter tonight for dinner. You might like to pop in and visit the local football team. A trip to Split is not complete without seeing its #1 tourist attraction, and that is Froggyland. What is Froggyland? Well, let's go and find out. It's basically hundreds of taxidermied frogs doing the everyday run-of-the-mill stuff. This lot playing poker and pool, having a little dance. This lot playing basketball. This lot playing football. This one's just giving birth. These two got a little baby. That one's having a poo. Well, just come out of Froggyland. Wasn't too sure about going in the first place, but we took the leap in the end. And sorry, couldn't get much footage in there, but the woman behind the counter looked like she wasn't taking any shit whatsoever. But yeah, hundreds of taxidermied frogs doing the everyday sort of run-of-the-mill stuff. Interesting stuff. So there you have it. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of Split Life. We've learned and seen so much together, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. And I'll catch you next time, yeah? Laters, potatoes, TTFN, Dolly Gender and all that.